With World at War, I'm pretty sure everyone remembers playing it for the first time, and especially since I think most of us who played it were young and weren't allowed to play it. Anyways, it was a very different COD game from all the other ones, as it was dark, greedy, eerie, and realistic. World at War is still the only COD game with these type of feelings, and immediately puts us in the element with the intro and the main menu, especially with the main menu, as the music brings a haunting feeling. So with all these factors, it helps elevate a hidden mode in the game, which you can unlock by playing the campaign and by finishing it. So you go through the campaign normally, fighting against the Japanese on the American side and fighting the Germans on the Soviet side. So you play through it with just one sitting. So imagine this, it's late at night, like really late at night. You're supposed to be asleep and you're still trying to beat the campaign. You make it to the last mission, Downfall. You fight through the Reich stack, killing as much Germans as you can with Reznov helping you out. And you make it to the last part of the mission, in which you plant the Soviet flag on top of the building, completely finishing the campaign altogether. Then you see the last cutscene, and the credits roll. Most of us didn't really sit through the credits, we mostly skipped through it. But as we skipped it, or watched it towards the end, a new cutscene begins to play. We've beat the game, why would there be another cutscene? And what's with those weird noises? And why are the people walking like that? We've just unlocked Nazi Zombies, the first iteration of COD Zombies. Now if you're an OG fan, you remember the first time unlocking this mode and being scared shitless about it, and a few pointers if you were a kid and first discovering this mode. This mode came out of nowhere and was a huge surprise, as the only way to unlock it was by beating the campaign, as it was an extra fun mode that later down the line became an iconic and important mode for Call of Duty still to this day. Modern COD Zombies is completely different from old COD Zombies in terms of environment and style. It is a completely a night and day difference. Old Zombies had a horror feel to it. World at War mainly had style to it, and this horror feeling lasted all the way up to Black Ops 2, but it lessened over time, and especially with Black Ops 3, which completely lost the horror feel altogether. Zombies did go back to horror, but only with COD World War II Zombies, and then after that, never again. So I'm going to be talking about of what made World at War Zombies terrifying, and more specifically, what made it terrifying for us when we were kids. So I'll be looking at every Zombies map, the environment, the way how they feel, the design, the early lore, and some old theories back in the day. As for me, I think this is what made old Zombies scary. Later on, I will be doing a video for Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 Zombies. Before I get to talking about World at War Zombies, this video is a remake of my old video, so if any of my old subscribers see this video, it is a remake, and later on I'll remake the Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 zombie videos. Since we're on the topic of subscribers, I have a goal I want to hit, which is to hit 5k. When I hit 5k, I'm going to be doing a Q&A stream, and we're almost to that goal as I'm sitting at 3k right now. So if you want that to happen, subscribe right now. Also, if you want to know where I've been, check to the end of the video or the community tab. With that out of the way, let's get to the first Zombies map ever, Nacht Der Untoten. This is the map that started and kicked off Nazi Zombies, and it's a very simple map. Just the basic bones of zombies. Make as many points as you can, either to buy more weapons or doors to open up the map, and most importantly, try to survive 2 higher rounds. Sometimes if you're lucky, when you kill a zombie, a power-up gets to drop, and these power-ups became important to the mode as they stuck around for a very long time, with us getting more power-ups later down the line. When picking them up, on this map specifically, there is no announcer, as we didn't get the iconic announcer yet, as that will come in Verruckt. The power-ups that were introduced to this map were Insta-Kill, Max Ammo, Double Points, and Kaboom, which are all self-explanatory and instantly became classics that everyone name drops to this day. There's also an extra thing you could spend your points on, and many players wasted a lot of points on it, the mystery box. Tucked in the corner of the second room, the mystery box became such an iconic thing and is forever a main staple in all COD Zombies, as it was a fan favorite. The mystery box functions as a weapon randomizer. You spend your points on it, you have a higher chance of getting a good weapon or bad weapon, and these weapons matter in the higher rounds. It became such a fan favorite thing because of the jingle you hear when you buy it. To see if you were lucky enough to get the first wonder weapon, which was the ray gun. The ray gun, just like the mystery box, became a fan favorite item and a main staple in this mode. Even the idea of wonder weapons forever stayed. If you got the ray gun, you were basically king of the lobby. If you had friends, and hopefully the host didn't get mad and quit the match because he didn't get the gun, but I think it was an issue if you played in public, or if you had that one friend that does it. First time getting the ray gun had such a thrill to it because you had good luck, and you've got it now. All you have to do is be careful with it, as it does a lot of splash damage and you can actually go down. I did this a lot as a kid, so hopefully you guys did the same back in the day. Also, in the same room with the mystery box, there's a radio if you hit it. It plays the first zombie song ever. This one is very underrated, and you could hear it in the background of the video. Zombie songs also became a main staple, and so many fans listen to the songs still to this day. Such a simple time, and the mode all that mattered was trying to get a higher round and finding ways how to hold out as long as you can, either camping out a corner or training the zombies. It became a bragging right back in the day to your friends or anyone random in the public lobby to say what round you made it on, and most of them were not legit. This simplicity to me I think helped elevate the horror for all maps in World at War. With Nacht Der Untoten, the way how the map feels, it brings a sense of eeriness to it, especially with the cutscene when you first started up, as you think you're being rescued, but then why are the people walking weirdly and one of them is running at you? And after that, you just see the splash screen which introduces you to the mode. And when that's done, you hear the haunting choir when the round starts and hearing the iconic creepy laugh. Especially too, seeing the full moon in the background doesn't help with the eeriness when you spawn in. Seeing it on the horizon really blends well with the environment. The other thing too is the fog. Each time you look out of the barriers, there's always this deep fog and it surrounds the map. Outside the map is where the zombies spawn, coming out of the ground, and they really blend well with the fog and with the night setting, especially the noises they make, as they haven't gotten their iconic sounds yet. The sounds they make in this map are more ghoulish. Sounds they make blend well with the night setting, even with higher rounds, as there's a bunch that are spawning and it gives you a sense that you're all by yourself and nobody's coming to help. All you can do is try to survive as long as you can. Since we're on the topic of sounds, the sound design for this map helps elevates the horror feel. World at War already has an amazing sound design, especially with how the weapon sounds, as these sounds give a gritty feeling to the whole game, and it translates well into zombies. The maps all have their own unique ambient sounds. These ambient sounds help give the map its own personality. The design the zombies have is really unique, as around this time the whole zombies media had a massive boom, and World at War was in the middle of that as it came out in 2008. And think 28 days later, and even I think Resident Evil helped with this boom. There's so much zombie popularity that even Marvel delved into it, so these types of zombies had to have a unique design to them, and they did, which is still memorable to this day. The pale skin they have shows how lifeless they are. The most distinctive feature they have is the glowing eyes, as their eye color is yellow, and when you kill them, their eyes turn to a ghastly white color. This feature is still associated with COD zombies, and helped them even make them more stand out for the rest of the zombies designs from any media. Even their appearance matches the name of the mode, as they're wearing Nazi uniforms, specifically SS uniforms. Each zombie has a different appearance. One set looks like it has been burned, so the body looks charred, and or maybe it might look like they've been buried for a long time. And with some of the maps, their outfits and looks change to match the map setting. It's to see this in the later maps. Even their movement is kind of unique, as they blend old zombie movement, like the ones we see in the old Zombies movies, and the new zombie movements seen in modern movies. Perfectly blends the two movements in the early rounds, as you have zombies that are slow and fast. As you progress later down the line, they all get fast. But the first time, it was still surprising whenever you leave a slow zombie and out of nowhere he starts sprinting at you. It gives a sense of dread in the harder rounds. You see, when you look out of the window, all the zombies are sprinting at you. Also, with World at War being one of the goriest COD games ever, you get to see more of it in the zombies mode. As with some certain guns, you can dismember them by blowing off their limbs and head. Sometimes when you take off their head, they can move around for a few seconds until they die. And when you shoot them on the sides, half of their body gets blown apart. This level of gore later disappeared in future installments. You better hope you got the ray gun or the flamethrower in order to handle them, or get lucky with a nuke drop. And if you manage to survive that round, we'll get ready to do it again, as long as you can. With it being the first map of Zombies, it was pretty bare bones, as the map is just a bunker, which is just a reused asset from the campaign. In fact, the first 3 maps in the whole mode were made from reused assets, as this mode was more of a second thought, but you can thank the original creator of this mode, Jesse Snyder, for this. And also, I did a video a couple months ago of how he came up with this mode. You can check it out after the end of this video. This map is a reused asset from the campaign on the 3rd Japanese mission, except this one is much smaller. The bunker feel of this map gives a sense of claustrophobia. You're completely restricted, and if you take the wrong step, you can corner yourself and get surrounded pretty quickly and get killed. If you manage not to corner yourself, you're always being chased, so if you look over your back, the horde is always chasing you no matter what. If you kill one, well, they just get replaced as you see more of them coming through the barriers. It really gives you a sense that you always have to be on your feet, as one mistake can really mess you up, but at least you're able to get breathing room when the round ends for a few seconds, as no area here is safe. They even break through the walls to get to you. Again, just try to survive as long as you can. With how simple this mode and map was, it became very popular, even how to unlock it, as it was a reward to do so. Back in the day, nobody knew this mode existed. You had to unlock it by beating the campaign or hearing it from word of mouth from your friends, as you didn't believe them, so you had to try to see if it was true. It became so popular that many people were coming out with theories as they pointed out the oddities in the map, as during the time there is no story. So it was all made up by the fans. Some people translated the name of the map since it was German, which translates to Night of the Undead, which is a nod to Night of the Living Dead, the movie that kicked off zombie media. People pointed out the trucks and barrels as this place is not really abandoned. It's been recently used, and the first time theories were going about that this was a military experiment gone wrong, or the classic cliche of a Nazi experiment gone wrong. So the plane that crashed on the outside of the map seems to be the same one from the opening cutscene. So many players came up with that the 4 mysterious soldiers crashed near the bunker and they thought they were going to be captured, but now have to face the undead. For these 4 mysterious characters, we never know what happened to them, but it's most likely they probably died to the horde. These 2 words that are on the wall and door, which are written in chalk lines similar to the ones of the gun outlines. They were weird during the time, like the one on the stairs, Ascend from Darkness, and the other one, which is pretty self-explanatory, says Help. There were old theories on Ascend from Darkness on that word line, but I'll go more into that line in Black Ops 1 video, as during World of War it took a long time to know what this line meant. Still, for the help line, it can be attributed to the previous people who tried to survive here in this bunker, and well, they never made it out. These 2 words, since they were similar to the chalk outline, many people thought there was some sort of link between the 2. These theories first jump-started the lore for Zombies, and the developers helped expand upon it in the later maps. Me, I think this mysteriousness adds to the creepiness flair for the first map. For such a simple map and a simple mode, it had a lot of effect on players, as this was their first time being introduced to zombies, or well for the OG fans, as this map is forever engraved in our minds. It was a first time experience that would be hardly replicated ever again, and it's what most people played since it was the only zombie map for free, as later on in the game's life you had to pay for the others. So since it became a fan favorite, it was instantly greenlit for another zombie map to be developed. As for the first DLC pack we got, the next map would be Verruckt. Verruckt is considered the scariest map in COD Zombies and the hardest even to this day, with the whole environment playing a huge factor into it, and some slight changes with the zombies and gameplay. The 2 trailers for this map had a horror feel to it, with no other trailer has done this before, not even the later ones too later down the zombie storyline. Verruckt takes place in an abandoned sanitarium, and this abandoned flair will continue on to be a pattern for the early maps of Zombies. Even the map name, which is German again, translates to crazy or insane. This map goes full on with the horror flair, elevating more than Nacht Der Untoten. As well, the insane asylums are already creepy by default, especially if they're abandoned. This map is a reused area from the campaign, which comes from the Soviet campaign, and it's the same thing again as its abandoned sanitarium. You can recognize some of the areas when you walk around, like around the courtyard and the hallway in the campaign. The same asylum seen in the campaign and in Zombies mode is based off a real life location, Winnetna Sanitarium. The sanitarium had some history back during World War II, and for today it is abandoned. But back to Zombies. When spawning in the map, it's already a major upgrade over Nacht Der Untoten. We have voice characters now, but not the iconic ones yet, as these characters are just 4 Marines and one of them happens to be Tank Dempsey. I'm kind of cheating as we're revealed to his involvement in the Shi No Numa radio. It is Tank Dempsey that he was originally part of this squad, but he didn't get his iconic voice actor yet. Anyways, we have voice characters now, and it became a main staple in the later maps. This map is much bigger, with more lighting and more areas to be in. When spawning in, you start to notice the first room. It seems that people who were in charge of the sanitarium left in a hurry or were trying to contain the outbreak but failed, which led to the asylum being in a state of disrepair. There are some areas that are boarded up which are not barriers, and there are still some burning fires. Looking outside, there is smoke in the air and embers are falling down. There's a lot of blood in the study room, either it's from the past patients or the people trying to get out. This asylum must have been a testing facility considering that some of the areas have cage fences, like on the walkways and the stairs. This asylum feels more like a prison, and given that it was made in the 40s, when sanitariums during the time didn't actually help people at all, and it just adds more to the prison-like flair. And also, since it was in Germany with the Nazis in power, it's most likely the sanitarium was used as a testing facility. As we see in the map, something went horribly wrong. But that's again up to speculation, because as of right now, according to the lore, it is not confirmed that it's a testing facility, as of right now. Later on it gets expanded upon. And remember, we're only looking through the lens of what the map was first released, so the things I said were probably old theories that the people were thinking of back in the day, and again it did help influence the early lore. And just like with Nacht Der Untoten, the early lore and the early speculation back in the day helped elevated the horror for this map, and the whole mode altogether. Now if you're playing with 4 people or by yourself, you have the chance to spawn in a different room. But it's more prevalent with 4 people, as you're split up into 2s in these rooms. So you're cut off and have limited people. You better hope the person you got split up with is good. There are 2 ways to group up. You can keep buying barriers, as one message tells you to do so, as it's written in the same chalk as like the one seen in Nacht Der Untoten, as it says the power will reunite you. As this was one of the major gameplay changes in Zombies, that became a main staple, as now you can turn on the power, only to reunite with your buddies, but another major gameplay change as the perk machines. As this map introduces the 4 classic perks, Juggernaut, Speed Cola, Double Tap, and Quick Revive. Juggernaut became a major thing to buy since it increases your health only to 4 hits. Speed Cola helped with reloading, so it helped a lot with machine guns. Double Tap held rate of fire, and Quick Revive was only useful in multiplayer at this time, since with solo play it doesn't revive you. Quick Revive allows you to revive your friends much faster. Also, by turning on the power, you unlock traps, and these traps can help you a lot in sticky situations and with higher rounds. But be careful, as these traps can kill you. Turning on the power became a sense of urgency to get to. Even the Marines talk about it when you first started up, as they have to turn on the power as quickly as they can. And even in their voices, there's a slight panic in them. But by turning on the power, it gives you a slight edge in survival, so it became a necessary thing to do so. When you turn on the power, there's a lot of detail in it too, as you can see sparks dancing along the wires, and you can see every light turn on. You can hear the doors opening and the perk machines turning on, which is a cool effect as you can hear it and see it in real time. In the power room, there's a lot of weird things in this room. On the switch you can see a disembodied hand, and towards the end of the sequence of the power finishing, you can hear this. We'll get to this laugh a little bit later, as there's an extra thing in this room too. With the whole power turning on sequence, many players probably just left the room or either bought something from the mystery box, so the noise was drowned out. Because there is a soundbite in this room which can only be heard if you stand near this electrical box. This is the only area of the map of which you can hear this electronic distorted voice. The voice is saying some sort of numbers code. It's kind of hard to hear since there's a lot of background noise in this room. The thing that sucks about this find is that it's just an Easter egg for a TV show, which is lost. This soundbite had nothing to do with zombies, but it was still creepy coming across this. Now for the laugh. We first hear this laugh with the mystery box, as in this map, there are changes to it. Instead of being in one place, it has the chance to move around when you keep using the box, as there is a chance to get the teddy bear. So you hear 2 laughs, one of a child's laugh and the other one which is more deeper and rough laugh, and signals the box is being moved. This deeper laugh is the same one when turning on the power, which is weird, because it's more of a mocking laugh signaling the box is being moved. Why would it mock you for turning on the power? Well, I have no clue. Anyways, the mystery box and the teddy bear, they both have a link to each other now. As areas around the map, you can find the same bear in the pile of rubble. The same bear is all bloody and worn out. This is where one of the spots of where the box can spawn, and they're all littered around the map. Even the words on the wall in the power room reflects the box moving, as it gives a hint to it on what it does. As it says on the wall, "Wish too often and your wishing well will run." With the child's laugh, it spun a theory back in the day that not only the box was linked to the teddy bear but also to this child, as the box can be seen as a toy box. Nobody knew at the time of this child's name, and it was probably only linked to the toy box only at this time. With the other voice, it seems to have a link to the child's laugh, as they're both heard at the same time whenever the box moves. And not only that, they're heard somewhere else too, as now we have voice power-ups now, that whenever you pick up a power-up, you can hear this. This voice is the announcer, as also it's the same laugh you can hear whenever you get a game over. But it is still unknown at this time if the announcer has a link to the zombies, as it seems it's more that the announcer is playing around with us. Anyways, we're going to be talking about the zombies as they had changes with them with the new map, as now they have their iconic sounds. And these sounds will be sticking around for a very long time as they become an iconic part of the whole series altogether. Some of the sounds they made also led to new theories. One theory that the developers really liked and was more expanded upon in terms of the lore for Black Ops 1, and with one Easter egg into Riese, as it was more of a coincidence sounds, as this sound is heard whenever the zombies try to attack you, as it sounds like they're saying Sam. This was one of the early theories back in the day. The whole word Sam gets expanded upon in Black Ops 1, and I'll be exploring more of that in the Black Ops 1 video. But again, for the developers, this was just a coincidence, but they brought again with the theory and kept expanding it upon later down the line. The zombie design for this map is the same as Nacht Der Untoten. They still have the same uniforms and everything else. It is not much of a big change for them. There's another change with them, but only for this map. It has to only do with their behavior only, as it's completely different from all the other maps, as it only happens in the higher rounds. The zombies get to run fast, like super fast, almost like Usain Bolt. And it's not just only one zombie, it can be multiple ones, but it only happens in the higher rounds. Again, not only Verruckt is the scariest map in Zombies, but it is the hardest due to the zombies' behavior. The other things what makes this map difficult is the map design, as with Nacht Der Untoten there was at least some space with the rooms. With these rooms in Verruckt, they're much narrower, and you're more likely to get cornered. This map gives you always a sense of an on-edge feeling, as it gives you a sense that you have to keep moving, because if you stick in one place, you're most likely going to get swarmed and get killed. Now we can finally talk about the creepy stuff in these rooms, and more importantly, the ambience on this map. As it's kicked up to the notch, there's a bunch of rooms with ambience, and these sounds help elevate the horror feel in this map. The first creepy parts around the map are these mannequins, as there's only 2 for this map, and they're really weird. One has a bunch of knives stuck in it, and weirdly enough, if you go to the knives, they have weird symbols on them. And on the same mannequin, it has 1942 written on it. The same mannequin can be found on the left side of the map when you go up the stairs. The last mannequin can be found on the right side of the map, as this mannequin is hanging by a rope, and the rope is around the neck. This one is located near Speed Cola. These 2 mannequins are one of the weirdest parts of the map, as there's no really evidence of why were they put like this in this situation. Part of it's reflecting on the people who experimented in this asylum. But out of all, these mannequins are unique to this map only, and are never brought up ever again. Next to the hanging mannequin is one of the patient rooms. This room has a lot of symbols and some of the text written on the wall. Some of the text is legible, as some of them are more of a cryptic messages. One text that stands out that says, "The teddy bear is a liar," which goes with the mystery box theories. All the extra stuff on the wall means something else too. Same writing can be seen in the kitchen too. So back in the day, there was a bunch of speculation on the writing on the wall. There was 2 important things that stand out on the wall. One is the symbol and one is the text, as these 2 matter later in the story and hint at other things too later down the line. The symbol translates to Ohm 935 and the other one translates to Living Dead. The symbols became a universal thing, as later on the maps the same symbols can be seen and translate into other words too. But keep Ohm 935 in mind. With the text, it says 1938-24, 06-921. The first set of numbers is a date. which references a meteor strike that happened in the United States. The other set of numbers references a Bible verse, Jeremiah 9:21, where death is come upon into our windows and has entered our palaces, to cut off from the children from without and the young men from the streets. This section in the book of Jeremiah is about a prophecy about the southern kingdom of Judea and the coming destruction to the kingdom. This verse can be interpreted in many ways for the setting of zombies. It can be seen as a zombie apocalypse that is yet to come, as so far all these incidents have been small outbreaks, and whatever is causing the zombies, and if they keep meddling with it, as whatever is causing the zombies will bring upon an apocalypse. But that's all I can find for the stuff that was written on the wall. Now onto the best thing about the map. The best thing about this map is the ambience. Anywhere on the map you get this constant ambience of the wind traveling through the asylum, evoking the emptiness of it. Even in the two starting areas have unique ambient sounds to them. On the right side of the spawn room inside this oven, when you crouch to it, you can hear this. Only in this oven you can hear these sounds. What is weird about this is that you can hear the baby crying if you look deeper into the oven. But if you don't, you can hear a woman cry occasionally. And then you can faintly hear a man crying when you step away from the oven. In the other spawn room, there is a chair and it's covered in blood. You can see a disembodied hand on the armrest. Go around the chair and interact with it and you can hear this. You can already guess where most of the blood came from as you hear the drilling sound and the man screaming. On the right side of the map in this hallway, when you walk by it, you can hear this. Even when you head upstairs, you can still hear the sounds. The loud bangs and the wailing of a man can even echo in these areas. All these sounds we hear reflect all the horrible actions that went down in this asylum, from either patient abuse or all the experimentations that were done here. This led to parts of the asylum being haunted, and the hauntings are much louder due to being abandoned. There are a couple of extra stuff that I didn't mention, like the Easter egg song, which you can hear if you flush this toilet 3 times. And the other one is this weird sign, which is in German. And it just translates to unattended children will be immediately sold to the circus, which I think is just a funny nod from the devs. Verruckt has to be one of the most haunted maps in Zombies and one of the very few heavy ambient maps. This map is mostly remembered for how hard it is and how creepy it was. Overall, Verruckt is like Nacht Der Untoten. It didn't further the story, it just led to more speculation of what was going on with these places. But overall, Verruckt was a major upgrade over Nacht Der Untoten, as Verruckt helped led to what would be the main staple for all zombie maps with traps, perk machines, and turning on the power. This formula will stay in all future zombie maps. Although the next map is an outcry from the whole power formula. It doesn't take place in Germany, instead we're going across the world in Japan, in a controlled territory, Shi No Numa. Shi No Numa is one of the maps that is hardly talked about and isn't mostly remembered, which is weird because this is the map that first kickstarted the story and gave us the 4 fan favorite main characters. As I said in the Verruckt section, this area is under control of the Japanese, and the map name is in Japanese and translates to Swamp of Death. But first, now to the main 4 main characters. We have Tate Dempsey, Edward Richtofen, Nikolai Belensky, and Takio Masaki, but everyone throughout the series uses the first names. The model for these characters were all reused assets from the campaign, and some people didn't notice this at first, or even to this day I don't think people even know about it at all. But you can see these characters models in the campaign, and I'll show them what they are in these 4 screens up here. For the map, again, it's a reused asset from the campaign, but for Shi No Numa, I tried finding the area from the campaign for which this level is a reused asset on, and many people think it's the huts from the first level of the campaign, and I remember in an old video saying it was a hidden hut from this level. I couldn't find this hidden hut, but I think it's most likely from the huts from the first level. Well, anyways, when you first get into the map, you're greeted by a guy hanging from the ceiling. He is hanging from his own parachute, and he is missing the hand. You get revealed to his name later on in this map, but I'll get to that when I get to the radio section for this map. Once again, this person spawns speculation as there is theories on that the guy missing the hand is the same one on the power handle, or even the chair in Verruckt. Just wanted to bring that out for those old theories. There's some evidence of him recently dying and where his plane crashed, as when you go near the doctor's quarters you can see smoke in the background where the trees are. The mystery box is still the same, but an easier way to find them is implemented in this map, is that when you look in the sky and you can see the blue light above it. And they also changed the spots for them, with now a teddy bear sitting on top of the crates. For the zombies design for this map, they are completely changed, as they reflect more of the map's design, as the zombies take on an Imperial Japanese soldier look, and some of them still have the burned look on them too. A disturbing detail with these zombies is that some of them have different walk cycles, and even too when they charge right at you. It seems that for these type of zombies they remember their past life as soldiers, as some of them are still doing bonsai charges when they charge right at you, or they have their hands like they're holding a rifle, or even for some of them they're in somewhat of a martial artist stance. These zombies must have been recently experimented on and recently turned, as they probably recovered the bodies when they were in battle. So their last bits of muscle memory are doing the last action as they did as when they were alive, which is a cool and creepy detail. It gives the zombies more personality, and this detail stays a little bit in the other maps too. The other maps doing different movements for the zombies and having them do different actions. But you get to see more of that in Black Ops 1. The zombies are almost the same, they just have different models for this map. There's another extra set of zombies that appears on the map, but in a way there are special zombies that come around in either 5 rounds or 6 rounds, as there is a special round that begins when it hits that.
Come here, puppy. Got something for you. Fetch me their soul.
This is the Hellhound round, in which zombified dogs spawn on the field only on this round specifically. If you watched the map trailer for this map, you were probably aware of Hellhounds, but if you weren't, you were in for a surprise. I was too when I played this map for the first time when I was a kid. The sound cue, the whole ambient field, the fog that develops the map, the way how they spawn and the way how they sound, and hearing the voice announcing the round gives the eerie feeling and makes you panic, as these dogs are fast and aggressive, so you better be on the move. Even the ones that are set on fire, when you shoot them they explode, and it can kill you if you're not careful enough. And also too, apparently for the PlayStation 3 version, there's a different sound cue for the whole Hellhound round. But I think most of us played on Xbox 360 and mostly remember that sound cue. But I'm briefly gonna play the PlayStation 3 sound cue version, as that one's very unique and it's only for that console. But after I play it, I'm gonna go back and talking about the Hellhounds. So here's the PlayStation 3 sound version. The design on the Hellhounds is good. Like I said earlier, they have that zombified look on them, as they have bits of meat exposed and take on a German Shepherd look. With the Hellhounds, it is safe to say that they did experiments with animals, using the same methods they did as they used on humans. Depending on when you play multiplayer, you can get a lot of dogs that can spawn. You get used to these special rounds if you have the right weapons, like shotguns can easily take them out. And getting the rounds is good since at the end of the special round you always get a max ammo. When the round ends, you hear the awesome riff, the whole fog dissipates and everything goes back to normal, until the next 5 rounds. The first time encountering the dogs will always be remembered. Also, I forgot to mention, the 4 main characters now do quips, either with the zombies, wonder weapons, mystery box, traps, and anything around the map, and even to the Hellhounds. They typically have a humor flair to them, but sometimes they drop some lore. And these give these characters personality, which leads them to be more fan favorites, and my favorite has always been Tank Dempsey. Shi No Numa is just like Verruckt, in terms of being a facility for experimentation, and looking around the map it is heavily evident of that, as when you go down the stairs in the first hut, you can see that there's a lot of blood on the ground. and each hut has the same amount of blood too. You see surgical tool sets around the map, which are all bloody and they look like they have been recently used. In the main hut, down the stairs, you can see a diagram of an arm, and it reads on how to remove a shoulder. There's another diagram in another hut, which shows a human skull. So again, this facility was like Verruckt, with it being like a medical facility, except this one was under Japanese control. And well, this facility was probably worse than the German facility. Also around the map, there's a bunch of bloody handprints, and it's in each hut. And the blood piles, there's maggots running amok. Just like with the two other maps, this has an abandoned flair to it, like Nacht Der Untoten. It may seem like it has been overrun, as there's still burning fire sprinkled around, but it's less than Verruckt, and it's unknown where most of the blood came from, just like with the Verruckt facility. Since with Shi No Numa being a swamp, they really immerse you with it, as when you go into each separate hut, you can see the trees, foliage, and the ponds, which is a huge outcry from the two previous maps, as this one takes more of a natural look to it. Anyways, let's go back to the main hut, as on the bottom there is a paper next to a burning fire, and it reads the Die Glock and Der Riese. Remember Der Riese by the end of this section. The Die Glock was kind of a real life object. It's a bell that looks like a UFO and was supposedly be part of the Wonder Waffle projects in Germany, and I mean the real life projects of that. The thing is, the Die Glock is not an actual thing, as it was a conspiracy theory, as the theory talks about how the bell would have been able to manipulate time travel or mess with gravity. Again, the Die Glock was a conspiracy theory, but the Wonder Waffle projects were an actual real thing and led to most of the modern weaponry we have today. And also too, there were some weird projects in the Wonder Waffle projects, like the Sun Gun, which was similar to the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War, as the Germans planned to use a large mirror in space in order to use it. And so I think that's why the Die Glock conspiracy theory came about, as there was a bunch of weird Nazi projects. So anyways, Wonder Waffle just translates to wonder weapons. The developers mixed real life history with zombies, as we have the ray gun, which was the first wonder weapon, and with Shi No Numa we get another wonder weapon, the Wonder Waffle DG2, an electric gun that arcs when you shoot a group of zombies, as the lightning jumps from zombies to zombie. This is a badass wonder weapon and can only be retrieved from the box. And just like with the ray gun, this became another fan favorite gun. But be careful when you have Juggernaut and when you shoot a zombie, as sometimes they can survive and hit you and can disable your Juggernaut, which many players hated back in the day. Also, in the doctor's quarters, there is a note that reads it could be used to power HARP. HARP is a real program that is in Alaska that researches the ionosphere. There's a ton of conspiracy theories about this program revolving around that the government is controlling the weather with it, and it's able to create natural disasters around the world. In terms of COD Zombies lore, it is unknown what this program has to do, as the real HARP program came about in the 90s. But here it seems that this program was made early, as the timeline of right now is in the late 1940s. As a mysterious object seems to be powering the HARP facility. We get to see what this object is later in the section, as it's evident enough that this object is also under control of the Japanese and the Germans. The map design for this is kind of mixed, because some of the huts have kind of narrow ways when traversing through them. Overall, this map is more open, especially in the swamp areas, as each area is different of how to go to the different quarters, as they mattered as it can be life or death, since the openness, you can train zombies easily and have many ways to evade them and escape. But be wary of the water, as it's deep. As when going into the water, it will lower your movement, but not for the zombies, as they will catch up easily. Even too, the zombies can spawn under the water and can block your path. So it's more of a 50-50 when going into the water, as it's not very ideal to stay in it, as you're more likely to get swarmed. So it gives you a sense of urgency to get out of the water as quickly as you can and just stick to dry land. Good thing there isn't zombified crocodiles. An extra thing about this map is that there is no power, so you don't have that urgency to turn on the power, but the perk machines are still there. It's just that they're randomized when you go to each different hut, which is annoying as you can get unlucky and you can get jug last. Shi No Numa has a lot of ambience to it. It's one of the very few maps that has this amount of ambience. It's in a similar style of ambience of like Verruckt. So for the ambience, in the huts you can hear the wood creaking and expanding. When going outside of the huts and entering the swamps, you can hear the sounds of it and the animals in the distance. These are the usual normal sounds around the areas. Occasionally in most of the areas you can hear low whispers. can make out what the whispers are saying, they sound like they're saying, "Save my soul," and it's not just one voice that's saying it. There's just multiple voices saying the similar things. But that's the only one you can understand. You're able to hear it in one of the huts outside of the comm room. It's more clearer there. But around the map, you often can hear these whispers. In the doctor's quarters and in the storage, you can hear banging. You can hear it constantly in the storage. And while being in the doctor's quarters, there's an extra soundbite in there. Go to the shelf and interact with it, and you hear this. It's a soundbite of Richtofen's crazed laughter. It's only for this bookshelf on this map, and it's kind of fitting that it's in the doctor's quarters. In the comm room, if you stand by these two radios, you can hear this. The Sotronic voice is similar to the one in Verruckt, except this one is not an Easter egg, and this one you can more make out what the sounds sound like, as they're saying "God" and "Please save us." Overall, those are all the sounds in Shi No Numa. This map is haunted just like Verruckt. Verruckt is way more popular in terms of creepiness, but Shi No Numa is still up there. Around the map you can see the white chalk writings, and some of them are a little bit just the same, like the help sign. However, in another room of the spawn room, you can see a box on top of another boxes, marked 115. When heading to storage, if you look behind you and aim up at this hut, you get to see a word that spells out Tunguska. Tunguska was a real-life event when a meteor struck a forest in Siberia. It's still considered to be the largest impact in recorded history when it hit a forest and uprooted many trees. And the number of trees that were affected by this were 80 million. This is the second time a meteor event has been mentioned in terms of the lore. The other one was in Pennsylvania, mentioned in Verruckt. In the same area of heading to storage, if you look over, you can see a giant rock. And it looks like it crashed here in the swamp. The thing is, this rock looks weird, as you can see its charged shocks coming out of it and has an orange glow to it, similar to the zombie's eye color. It doesn't look natural here, and it's heavily evident enough that it is a meteor. You can interact with it as you can shoot at it, and every character has a quote to it.
I wonder if that rock brought those freak bags.
I think the Red Menace would be interested in this space rock.
Oh, that rock! Must be the element 115 comes from.
This rock is not of this press.
Each character talks differently about the meteorite. Dempsey wondered if the rock was causing the zombies. Nikolai talks about the Soul Union might have an interest with this rock. Takio talks about how it's not from this world, and Richtofen talks about the rock is where 115 comes from, as it's an element and is once again mentioned again. Richtofen's quote is the most interesting out of all of them. And also too, once again, these quotes spawned theories back in the day, but they were proven instantly on the same map. As this map has radios, as this was the first map to have radios, which expanded upon the lore and the story, as more of the down-to-earth sci-fi horror is expanded upon with these radios. In the main hunt of the starting room, you have to interact with these three radios, and after that, this plays.
R-4808N 37 14 66 115 48 40.
I hope you're receiving this transmission, Peter. If you are not, then all is already lost. You must know by now that we failed to contain the asylum. Now we had to move the experiment here. Location. The numbers will guide you. The giant must remain at all costs. Repeat, Der Riese must remain safe at all costs. The DT2 experiments continue. Might be our only advantage now. Find Dr. Max's. They may know what's going on. The use of 115 is dangerous at best. I'm not sure we can continue here. We've lost most of our best people. I hope you get this. I hope it hasn't happened there too. But I'm almost out of hope.
60 26, 101, 55, 44.94.
In this transmission, the one who is called Peter is dead. He is the person who is hanging, and he was supposed to listen to this transmission. The transmission talks about how Verruckt was overrun and failed to contain the outbreak over there, so they had to move their experiments to Shi No Numa. He warns that Riese, the giant, must be contained at all costs, which is another facility that is important to these experiments. Talk about the Wonder Waffle gun and the experiments with it, that it must continue as it provides a huge advantage against the zombies. Two important names are dropped, Dr. Richthofen and Dr. Maxis. These two become heavily important in the beginning parts of the story, as they're part of a group that experiments with Element 115. As Element 115 is mentioned again and confirmed, as it talks about how this element is dangerous, and towards the end of the transmission it mentions that Shi No Numa is gonna be overrun, as the team that was sent here, but the person has mostly died, as it's the same person that's giving out the transmission, and he says to follow the numbers. The beginning and last parts of the same transmission gives coordinates, one to Tunguska and one to Area 51. Tunguska is mentioned once again, but it is unknown that the Soviets are experimenting with 115. Area 51 is important as it confirms that the Americans are experimenting with 115, and also too, Area 51 is also known for a lot of conspiracies and experiments. In the early zombie lore, it became an important location later on. This first radio was the first bits of the early lore, and it gave a sense of eeriness and dread with it, as apparently these outbreaks worsen over time. There are other radios on this map, but they're not very lore driven and they're very short. I'm still gonna play both of them as they fit with the same flair as the other radio. One of the different radios can be found in the storage hut. What's smart about this radio, what the developers did about it, it's a reused sound bit from the Verruckt trailer. But it shows that Tank Dempsey was the only one that survived from the crew in Verruckt, as we find out later on that he was part of that crew. The other radio is in the doctor's quarters, and when you turn it on, someone is whispering. They say two things, Element 115 and find Dr. Richthofen. And after that, someone laughs throughout the line. But those are all the radios for Shi No Numa. These radios became a main staple and were important if you wanted to learn the early lore and bits of the early story. They get expanded upon with every future map now. Again, these radios were voluntarily, you had to seek them out in order to learn the lore, or you could just watch an old YouTube video and learn about it from there. But these were fun treats for the community to stumble across them. So that's it for Shi No Numa. To me, I think it's like Verruckt in terms of the ambience and the feel of it. It's just that Verruckt takes more of an urban setting, and for Shi No Numa takes on a natural setting. To me, they're both in the same fields of eeriness, and both do a great job of it. Shi No Numa is an important map as it's the beginning of the major parts of the lore. This became the main staple for the future maps, with the developers having their mindset on it, and we're going to continue the story like this. I didn't get to mention other stuff in this map, like the Easter egg song. To get the song for this map, you have to go to the comm room and interact with the phone 3 times, and you get a creepy voice that says, "I know you're sleeping." And you get one of the best underrated songs in Zombies. I didn't get to talk about the traps for this map, but I'll briefly go over the ones, as some of them are the same ones as in Verruckt in terms of the electric traps. There is one cool trap for this map, and it's called the Flogger. Get a group of zombies and use the trap and watch them fly. There are extra sounds in this map that I couldn't find, but they're mentioned on the wiki. Apparently in one of the huts near the meteor you can hear a woman crying, and the other one is in the fishing hut where you can hear children singing a nursery rhyme, which occasionally comes about. No matter how long I spent along in these areas, I couldn't hear them. They probably got mixed up with stuff in the background, or they were probably present in other versions of the game. Although Shi No Numa may be forgetful, it's still an important map. The next map is everyone's fan favorite. It's what most players remembered, and that map is Reise. We are finally here, the last map of World of War Zombies, Reise. This map has been mentioned a lot in Shi No Numa, and again, the map name is in German, and it translates to the Giant. Reise is like the other facilities, except for this one, it is unique, as it seems to be a factory for war, and at the same time a research facility. So whatever they were doing here with Element 115, they successfully weaponized it. But it bit them right in the ass, as you can see the result of it, as the facility has been completely overrun. And it's not only the facility that seems to be overrun, it seems to be the city too that's surrounding it too. Even the map description reflects of what's going on, as it keeps you up into pace, as this place is where it all began. We're in the heartland of the experiments, and there's been a master plan that took shape here, and maybe it will end here. It goes along with the lore so far. Also, this map is based on a real life location, as it was a real life research facility in Poland that tested actual real life wonder weapons. So anyways, let's get to the feel of the map, since it has been overrun. It's not like with the other maps, but with those it seemed like it took some time for them to be abandoned. With Reise, it looks like it has been recently overrun, and we just got here. As in the background you can hear a siren going off. Towards the middle of the map you can hear a clock continuously tick, like it's stuck in time. Even looking at the clock, it looks like it's stuck at 1:15, such a reference to 115. Although this map is not as ambient as the other previous maps, it makes up with the environment, as there's more environmental storytelling with it. You can see embers falling from the sky and around the map, and as we see, many fires are still burning inside and outside. Of course, in traditional fashion, there is blood everywhere, as you can interpret it as the remaining people trying to run away to get to safety. A creepy detail that reflects that has been recently overrun is that on the rooftops you can see an SOS sign. There's one you can see from the starting platform. There's another one on another rooftop you can see a help sign, but you need to no-clip in order to see it. There are other help signs littered around the map. 2 are made from the chalk and another one is spilled out of blood, which shows how desperate the survivors were. If you look up in the sky you see the moon, and like Nacht Der Untoten, it looks ominous. Weirdly, there are lights on the moon, and the lights on the moon will get answered later on in the story. The feel of the map takes more into the urban look, with it being more industrial. This map has the same openness as Shi No Numa, and some areas are narrow or dead ends, which doesn't give the sense of urgency or under constant threat unless when you get cornered in these dead ends. It's not the same levels as Verruckt, but there are still some death traps. One major thing that makes this map stand out from the rest is that there is a new mechanic that helps the players a lot, the Pack-a-Punch, as you're able to upgrade your weapon now. There are some things you have to do before getting to it. First, you gotta always turn on the power, then after that, link the 3 teleporters to the mainframe, as you're under a time limit, so you gotta hurry. Then once you do, you unlock Pack-a-Punch. Since unlocking the teleporters now, it gives the players the ability to teleport to get out of a hairy situation. And teleporting is always a trip, as whenever you use it, you get to see a glimpse of images. They're hard to make out as they come fast, and it gives some hints and glimpses to the future lore and the maps. One image is important as it shows a picture of Richthofen. There's more attention being directed at Richthofen in these 2 maps. We've seen it in Shi No Numa and now in Reise. this map being heavily focused on him. You'll see why later on in this section. Detail in this map is more ramped up as it gives more evidence of it being a research facility, as around the map you can find boards, medical posters, journals, designated rooms, labs, and experimental devices. Remember when I said to remember about OWN935? Well, we get to see what that group is, and the true name is Group 935, the German division that is researching Element 115, as this is their facility as it's a major one, as this facility is more developed than Verruckt and Nacht Der Untoten. Richthofen and Maxis are part of this group as it was hinted at Shi No Numa, and the quote of what Richthofen says about the group. And there's another quote that he's working with another group, the Illuminati. Illuminati seems interested in Element 115 and seems to be using Richthofen as an agent. Also too, there's ciphers we have been seeing around in the other maps, as they're using Illuminati codes. We have many groups that are interested in Element 115 despite the consequences of using it. So far, Zombies has been keeping up with the sci-fi horror, with Shi No Numa and Riese as it's slowly evolving into cosmic horror. As it seems right now, Group 935 has more experience with Element 115 due to their creations from the Teleporter, Wonder Weapons, Pack-a-Punch, the Hellhounds, and the Zombies. On the map, there's a section called Animal Testing or Animate Testing. This is where most of the Hellhound and Zombie training began here. In the radios for the map, the training is expanded upon, but that's towards the end of this section. In one section of the map, you can find cages, and if you go up the stairs and go to the fence, and if you look outside, you can see bloody paw prints. In the same room, you can find boards with a bunch of science stuff on them. On some of the boards, you can find normal sentences on them, but a couple stand out, like "Edward, I know what you did," and "Never again, Sam." These two statements become important with the radios later on. In the same room, to get the Easter egg song, you can find a brain, and a spine, and a jar. There's 3 that are littered around the map, and you can activate them to get the Easter egg song for the map, and it's everyone's most fan favorite, Beauty of Annihilation. And it's one of the songs that everyone instantly recognizes that is part of Call of Duty Zombies. Now we can go into the Zombies design for this map, as they have a massive overhaul to them. They still have the German uniforms, but now their faces are changed. Some models have their skin removed from their face, either around the neck, chin, or on the side of their face, and the parts of where the skin has been removed is still red, likely that they're still bleeding. There's another zombie model that has blood coming out from their mouth, eyes, and ears. To me, I would interpret these designs as these people who have recently churned and got infected from 115. Overall, the zombies' appearance for this map has more of a decayed appearance to them. For the Hellhounds and their rounds, they're still the same. And there's a feature in the map that, in the later rounds, they occasionally spawn once in a while. I think it's more meant to keep you on your feet. For the zombies design for this map, I wish they would have kept it in the future. It fits more with the horror feel of all these maps, or World at War. But then again, over time, it lost the horror feel, so it would make more sense that they didn't keep this design forever. They just kept it only for one map. Before I get to the radios, ciphers, and Easter egg for the map, I want to wrap up the stuff that is extra for this map, and I will briefly talk about them. So in the starting room on the side of the platform, you see another white chalk writing, and the writing says, "Embrace the Trinity and true power will be yours." This writing is another hint to the players in order to enable the teleporters to activate Pack-a-Punch. There's another set of writing as it's next to the power, and it says, "Return through Aether." This doesn't hit anything on the map, nor does it fit in line with the lore at the time of the map release. Although the word Aether has many impacts later down the story and will become an important word and place when it's expanded upon in the later games. In the spawn room again to the right side of it, if you look through the barrier you can see a shadow of a teddy bear. So far the teddy bear appearance has been ramping up. It was shown a lot in Verruckt as it's tied to the mystery box and the text in the map calls it a liar. It lacks any significance in Shi No Numa with the teddy bear having a low appearance in there. But in Riese it ramps up to a lot. As in the Easter eggs and hidden areas you can find more teddy bears and markings of it. Even in one area, which you have to no-clip in order to see it, you find another word phrase. And again, it's the same one as from Verruckt, which calls the teddy bear as a liar. I'll talk more about the teddy bears in the Easter egg section of this map. The Riese greatly expands the story with more radios, as each of the radios are littered around the maps and hidden parts. You can play them in order, and I will play all of them. You'll see a timestamp on the screen if you want to skip to my summary of what was played in these radios. So anyways, let's get to the radios.
Sophia, this letter is to go to the Reichstag High Command immediately. Gentlemen, it is with the utmost urgency that I draw your attention to the lack of funding being injected into the giant project. While I believe we are close to realizing the ultimate plan, we still have several years of development before it is ready. It would be folly to cut our expenditures so early in our development. As you know, early tests on the DG2 have easily outperformed expectations, and we fully anticipate mass-producing the Wunderwaffe within the next few years. Work on the matter transference has, however, come to a standstill. We simply do not have enough element 115 to continue the experiments. The test subjects have survived teleportation, but are currently unresponsive to commands and cannot be controlled. If we are to overcome this obstacle, we need to increase the frequency and size of the experiment. To this end, I suggest we find not only a regular supply of 115, but that we also find a larger conduit to channel the energy. Our operatives in America have informed us that the U.S. has a large supply of the element at the Nevada base. So time is of the essence if we are to stay ahead of them. This cannot be done if you cut the budget, nor can it be done if you insist on pressuring us into action before we are ready. I am, of course, available for discussion on the matter, but in the meantime, I will continue with the work here and try to win this damned war. Signed, etc., etc., Dr. Maxis. Stand up. Stand up! Good. Look at me. Over here. Good. Now walk forward. Excellent. Further. Keep coming. It's all right. Stay there. Calm down. I order you. Kill it. Bring me another. Now, you must be very diligent with her, Samantha. Owning a dog is a great responsibility.
Yes, Father. Oh, I love her.
You must feed her every day and walk her, and be very careful when you play with her. You know she's going to have puppies.
Really? Can I keep the puppies too, Father?
We'll see, Samantha. One step at a time. Initiating test number 3. Subject is within the test chamber. Activate power. Oh my God! Do you hold yourself and clean that up? Test number 3. Unsuccessful. Test subject has been reduced to the same state as previous subjects. Clean up the test chamber and recalibrate the system. Let's do it again. Yes, Doctor. Edward, tie the damn thing down! We can't have it running around during the test!
It's tied down now, Dr. Maxis.
Initiating test number 5. Subject is within the test chamber. Activate power.
Searching for vitals. No reading, Doctor. The subject has disappeared. Dr. Maxis, we've done it!
Don't be foolish! Test number 5 is unsuccessful. Subject has vanished, yes, but has not reappeared at the mainframe. Recalibrate the damn system, now! Initiating test number 6. Subject is within test chamber. Activate power. Damn it, Edward! Did you set up the device correctly?
Yes, Doctor. As per your specifications.
If you had done it to my specifications, then it would have worked, wouldn't it? As usual, your incompetence has...
What? Do you hear that, Doctor?
Quiet, you fool! Test number 6 is a failure, but the experiment has caused some kind of electrical force energized within the chamber. Well, open the door!
Doctor, I don't think...
Open the door, now!
Daddy, what are you doing with Flossie?
Damn it, Samantha, I told you never to come in here. Edward, get her out of here.
Yes, Doctor.
What's wrong with her? Daddy, what did you do? Flossie!
Come back here, Samantha! Stop her! Easy. Come here, Samantha. Good girl, Flossie. Gently, Samantha. That's not Flossie anymore. We must get out of here. What? Edward, what are you doing? Open the door! Edward, open this door now!
I'm scared.
Don't go! Stay by me, Samantha!
Goodbye, Dr. Maxis.
But I'm all out of hope. Auf Wiedersehen, my friend.
Warning, the shield is now active.
Damn it!
Scientists
I can't find my pills.
designated materials and report to the barracks.
They are coming.
This is not a drill.
I must do what I must do.
The shield is now active.
God forgive us all.
How to destroy the designated materials and report to the barracks. This is not a drill. Warning, the shield is now active. How to destroy the designated materials and report to the barracks. This is not a drill. Warning, the shield is now active. Scientists are to destroy the designated materials and report to the barracks. This is not a drill. Warning, the shield is now active. To destroy the designated materials and report to the barracks.
The person who speaks on most of these radios is Dr. Maxis, as he was the head researcher at the Reise and was an important member of Group 935. He has a daughter named Samantha. He had an assistant named Edward Richthofen, the same playable character. But something's different with him in the radios, as he doesn't appear or sound the same as he does when you play as him. In the radios he seems more calmer and less erratic, so what happened to him? Also, he was an important member in the Reise and Group 935, albeit being undercover in the Illuminati to monitor Group 935 and the research of Element 115. With the first radio, it talks about how there was budget cuts to the Giant project, and how they had many breakthroughs with Element 115, although they lacked the supply of it to make things with it. Maxis talks about how they need a steady supply of it, and that the Americans have a large supply of Element 115 in Area 51. And that the group needed to stay ahead of them, as it was unknown of what they were doing with the element. These projects here at the Reise were meant to win the war for the Germans. And also in the same radio, Maxis hands a letter to Sophia to send to the High Command so he can have his funding still. On the second radio, Maxis is trying to train a zombie. Although it briefly works, the zombie turns aggressive and they have to kill it. Them trying to train the zombies was trial and error, as they had to find a way to control them. And with this radio, it's more significant as it confirms that the zombies were a result experiment with Element 115. The third radio has Maxis giving his daughter a dog, telling her all the responsibilities of owning the dog and that the dog will have puppies one day. And Samantha asks if she can keep them. Max is unsure as he just brushes it off, as it seems like his Tony sees it as more as a potential resource for the future experiments. Next two radios are short, as they talk about Maxis and Richthofen testing with the teleporters. First with people, and these tests failed as either the person disappears and never comes back or it just turns into a meat pile. The other radio talks about the test involving a dog, as it's implied to be one of the puppies from Samantha's dog. Like the other test, this one fails. The other radio is where Richthofen betrays Maxis. After a successful test with one of the dogs as it comes back to the mainframe, Maxis thinks it's failed, but Richthofen knows it works and something is wrong with the dog, as it's the first hellhound. Along the way, Samantha comes across the experiment and sees her dog is different. Maxis tries getting her out of the room, but Richthofen closes the door. Locking the hellhound with Maxis and Samantha, the teleporter activates again, and it is implied that Richthofen killed both Maxis and Samantha. With the last radio, it has one of the scientists taking his own life, as the whole facility is going into lockdown as there is an outbreak, and the zombies are overtaking the facility. It's possible this last radio took place right after when Richthofen killed Samantha and Maxis. There are ciphers and scrap paper around the map, which are also hidden, and they also expand upon the lore. The ciphers are in the code-like language as they're in the Illuminati language. I'll show all the ciphers, and one important one is under the grate in the spawn room. And on the cipher, it translates to, Edward, it's time to kill Maxis. The next two ciphers can be seen out of the map. One is the same code from Verruckt, and the other one is just saying help. The one from Verruckt is just saying, the living dead again. The last cipher is found in the ceiling, on the right teleporter room. In this little room it translates to, Faithful servant, observe and report. The seed has been planted, Maxis must not know. And these Illuminati ciphers were all directed towards Richthofen, as he was part of the group and he was ordered to kill Maxis and observe him so that he can take over Group 935 and become the leader of it. So he can bring back any information of Element 115 back to the Illuminati so the group can take over the world with it. Although Richthofen is probably set back due to the facility being overrun as he's trying to get his goals done. And it seems for Richthofen, it seems that he has plans for himself. The scrap paper are also littered around in hidden spots. One is a journal group for Group 935 of an operation manual of what to do in an event of being captured, and to die with the secrets, as this was supposed to be a secretive group. Any person who works in Group 95 is not supposed to have any contact with any government or their families, with the exception for the German government at the time, and to have the element not fall into the wrong hands. The other two scrap paper talk about the side effects of Element 115, as we already know that it can reanimate the dead, and the other side effect is probably going insane, from constant exposure to the element, but the paper doesn't talk about most of it as it's briefly cut off. All these radios, ciphers, and scrap paper are all lore dumps. Again, I said in the beginning that I think the early bits of lore help elevate the horror, as it makes the series more grounded at the time, but later on it goes overboard. This map keeps going on with the sci-fi horror, continuing on what the last maps did previously, and also to a little bit cosmic horror like what Shi No Numa did. Before we get to the end of the video, we have to talk about the Easter egg for the map. Hide and Seek is the Easter egg for this map as it's the only one, and it was one of the first maps to start the whole Easter egg trend. You have to get a pack-a-punch gun, go to the left side and shoot the button in the fly trap, and this happens.
I want to play again. Let's play hide and seek.
The same voice we heard before comes by, as it's Samantha's voice. For this Easter egg, we just find the object she wants to find us. Two are teddy bears and one is a monkey bomb. She gets mad when you find the last one. This confirms earlier that the teddy bear is her toy, and the same thing with the monkey bomb too. And also too with the mystery box even being her toy box. All these three items have a link to her. So far it seems that Samantha dying due to Edward Richthofen's actions, that she seems to be haunting the Reese. But then again, how come her voice is the same voice as the announcer and all the extra stuff we heard so far in this mode? Well, this gets expanded upon more in Black Ops 1. There's an extra thing to do. Look behind the staircase, you can see a bloody paw print, and at the bottom has Max's nameplate. So far it seems Samantha's haunting the players and messing with them. So far right now. The Reese combines all the best aspects of the three previous maps. It keeps the horror flair with it. It's no wonder that this map outshines the others and is the most remembered besides Nacht Der Untoten. It has been one of the most fan favorite maps of all time, and also too, one of the most fan favorite zombie songs of all time too. Developers at first were surprised that this mode became a fan favorite all the way back on Nacht Der Untoten, and further developed it with every DLC. Due to that, it got an increased budget with every DLC pack, and there was a plan to release one more map for World at War. But that had to wait, as Modern Warfare 2 was going to release, and Activision didn't want attention to be drawn away from that map pack. So, the zombie storyline will continue in Black Ops 1. Nothing can compare the ambient horror of World at War to any Activision zombie mode, not even World War II Zombies, as that one went deeper into the horror feel, as that was the main marketing for that mode, to bring back the seriousness of zombies. To me, this take on Zombies, which was under Sledgehammer Games, which they partook in the horror feel of it, didn't do well to me, as I think it went a little bit too much in the horror, and wasn't subtle with it just like what World at War did. But it at least brought back the seriousness in Zombies for a little bit. Later on with Treyarch Zombies, the story loses its horror, as in the sequels progressively eased down in it, and lost the ambience altogether, and was more of a horror adjacent mode, and over time lost its grounded flair. Even to the original director and creator of World at War Zombies and all the mode altogether, left the studio after World at War. So Black Ops 1 was in a whole different direction. World at War Zombies will always be remembered fondly, as it was the first one to kick off a fan favorite mode that's still sticking to this day, and one of the scariest zombie experiences when we were growing up. Of all the zombie experiences in Call of Duty history, World at War will always be at the top. Nothing can beat the original classic. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. And also I wanted to say I'm sorry for not uploading anything or giving updates on my whereabouts since these past 3 months. Or by the time I'm editing this video, it's probably been 4 months now. I've been busy with college as midterms have been really brutal, and not only that, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have been procrastinating super hard. And I had low motivation on working on scripts, so I haven't been able to work on any videos lately. And I am sorry for that. I know I missed out on stuff like Black Ops 6. I haven't even gotten the time to play it yet. But don't worry, I've gotten my drive again and I'm less busy now, so videos are going to be coming up, so stay tuned for that. And also during my hiatus, I have been upgrading my PC now, so editing should be easier since my old PC couldn't handle the editing software, so everything should be going smooth for me. And it should be a little bit faster to upload them. Since I've been doing everything for this channel like voice recording, editing, and recording, the only help I got for this channel was from my friend, and that was just for the logo. So everything is a one-man operation as it's under me, so it tends to get a little bit overwhelming for me. I'm really appreciative for you guys sticking around and still watching the videos. And there's some new people here that have subscribed to this channel in the past months. Thank you all for doing that. I'll promise that I'll try not to do another 3-month hiatus like this one. So again, I'm sorry for not giving any updates or uploading. Next time I'll try giving some updates or do some small videos. But again, don't worry, I'm working on videos again. So if anyone is still here at the very end, subscribe to the channel and expect more videos to come. And also, in the future, I plan on remaking a Black Ops 1 Zombies video. And with that, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a nice day. This is Mazer Argo, signing out.